Welcome to Radio Bandland, and the idea is for you guys to meet the headliners as well as the singer-songwriters and bands who are performing at this year's edition. 23rd, 24th in November in Bangalore. It's at the Nice Grounds, Tumkur Road, a brand new venue as opposed to last year's Embassy Riding Schools. Tickets are live now at Book My Show. And it's a fabulous lineup. You look at day one, Saturday 23rd, Avenged Sevenfold, Bloodywood, Everything, Big Special, Dot, Bhayanak Moth and Sutej Singh. Sunday the 24th of November, Extreme, Zero, Thaikuram Bridge, Selva Ganesh, The Wanton Bishops, Raman Negi and Swaratma. Very, very pleased to welcome India's foremost guitar player, Sutej Singh, who is going to perform on day one in Bengaluru. Hi Sutej, thank you for doing this. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
This must be exciting for you. I mean, this kind of a lineup, you're sharing the stage with Avenged Sevenfold. You're going to, I bet, stay back the next day and watch Extreme. Let's start at the obvious point. I mean, for a lot of us, Nuno Bettencourt, especially for guitar players, has been like a guitar god. Have you followed Nuno's career closely, and do you appreciate his guitar playing skills?
He got back into the scene last year, or was it this year when they released the new album?
Yeah.
And I've been a fan of him, like ever since I started playing the guitar, of course. And he's been a big inspiration, and I'm so excited to see him live.
And have you caught some of Avenged Sevenfold's music? Are you a fan of that genre? Are you like a heavy metal hard rock fan?
I mean, when I just started listening to some heavy music, I of course happened to listen to Avenged Sevenfold as well. But I've never been a huge fan, or I can't say the fan base, like, it's just not my kind of style or my kind of music that I relate to. But yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful to share the stage with them. They're, of course, legends of rock and roll, metal, and super excited.
Anybody else from the lineup that you're really looking forward to watch, Sutej? The band from Beirut, Lebanon, the Wanton Bishops, has got a lot of people going gaga.
Yeah. I mean, every artist coming there are at the top of their game, and I wouldn't want to miss out any name, and I just want to see every artist live there. As soon as I just finish my performance, I want to just be with the audience and see every artist live.
You've performed in every corner of this country, and you've been fortunate enough to do a few gigs in Bangalore. What do you think about the Bangalore crowd? How do they react to a pure instrumentalist like you, as opposed to singer-songwriters and bands that have lyrics and vocals in their performance?
To me, Bangalore has been very kind and accepting to a guy like me who's playing instrumental music. It's always been, I'm always looking forward to playing in Bangalore because the audience, they're super supportive of the kind of music I'm playing. And in fact, it's growing everywhere in the country now. I can't just say Bangalore. Bangalore is, of course, one of the favorite places to be. But I recently went to Northeast, Zero, and the crowd was pretty good there as well. Delhi has been on the uprise. So Bangalore being at the top of the game, of course. But the whole country is rising up and accepting this genre, which is good for me.
Lovely. So there's a lot of us grew up on Indian Ocean, Parikrama, Swaratma, and it's wonderful that Swaratma are part of the lineup this year on day 2. But it's also got a lot. Bhayanak Moth, again, is a band that goes back a long way. I remember listening to Zero and going, whoa, when I was just out of college. Another fabulous band. And of course, the boys from Kerala, Thaikuram Bridge. When you look at the Indian lineup, Swaratma, Raman Negi, Zero, Thaikuram Bridge, Selva Ganesh Ji, Bhayanak Moth, and of course, singer-songwriter Dot, whose tinkling piano is wonderful. What would you like to react to all of these wonderful Indian artists?
Yeah, like some of the artists like Parikrama, some of the artists like even Indian Ocean, as you mentioned. I grew up listening to them, inspired by them. And these new artists, like especially Dot, is like one of my favorites. Like, she's an amazing composer and she's an amazing singer-songwriter. and yeah, I'm really looking forward to see her act. And yeah, and I hope people are equally excited for my act as well.
Of course.
Because yeah.
And I think it's quite interesting that Bloodywood uses dhol in their brand of music, which I think is quite interesting. Electric guitars and dhols.
Yeah. I mean, they started with an experiment which worked, and the world is liking it. And so, yeah, it's working for them, so why not?
Okay, now let's come to your act. I mean, I find it fascinating that a boy from Solan, Himachal Pradesh, would pick up the guitar and do. I mean, I can only talk about music that I grew up on: Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. Instrumentalists of the highest quality. So, when did you first pick up the acoustic guitar, and then when did you go electric? Talk to me about those early days.
I mean, I think the first time I picked up the guitar was when I was in the final year of my school. And through that transition from the school to college, I happened to just transition from acoustic to electric as well. And I formed a band. I was a part of a college band. I used to play rhythm guitars because there was some other guy who was more talented than me back then. And then eventually the natural process happened. Everyone got graduated. Everyone wanted to do jobs and get money for their families, which is like understood. But for me, something inside me really told me that I wanted to pursue music, that I had to do it. So I wanted to give it a go. I recorded a few demos of mine. So I started with one of my songs called Oceans Apart, which is part of the debut album I released back in 2018. So that's how I transitioned from acoustic to electric, and then eventually recording my debut album.
That's wonderful. And were you listening to these great gentlemen, Vai, Satriani, or were you more mainstream rock bands?
I was
a lot of your music reminds me of Dream Theater,
It does, yeah.
of Toto, those psychedelic rock bands of the 70s and 80s.
It does, yeah. So initially I was more inspired by, I would say, like classic rock bands, like every other guitarist in the world. So yeah, as that transition happened, as I was part of the college band, we were figuring out, like, we were discovering new bands, and I happened to lean more towards prog rock, prog metal, bands like Dream Theater, Opeth, and Dream Theater being one of my favorites, as you can imagine. And I remember, I think the most inspiring video or the most inspiring event, I would say, I was watching a video of G3, and I was watching the Steve Vai, Joe Sat, and John Petrucci like jamming together, and I was like, wow, like all the guitar gods are on the same stage and they're just playing all their solo guitar stuff and people are enjoying it. So yeah, that was, I think, the most memorable video I have in my head, and one of the most inspiring as well. So you have bands like Dream Theater, guitarists like Steve Vai, John Petrucci, of course, and a bit of Joe Sat as well. And these days it's more towards guys like Andy Timmons, Nick Johnston. Yeah, so it's like a mixture of all of these.
What happens when you start touring? I mean, considering that you're a solo artist and a lot of your work is produced, in your own studio, and you put it out on the internet, on streaming platforms. Is this a regular band that you have, Sutej, that is going to be coming with you to Bandland? If so, then who's your bass player? Who's your drummer? Your rhythm guitar player? Your keyboardist, if you have a keyboardist?
We're just a trio right now. So it's me on the guitars and the bassist Aditya Negi, who is living in the same town, Solan, just like a kilometer away from my home. And we have Parth Kosar on the drums. He's from Chandigarh, which is not far away from my house as well. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to find these guys. Parth being one of my very close friends. I've been working with him like for the past 6-7 years now. Aditya, I just found him like last year when I was preparing for iRock Mumbai, and my previous bass player got married, and he had some priorities, and so I wanted to find a new bass player. I was searching all over, and I just found him like almost next door. So yeah, been very fortunate with musicians, like very close friends now. Of course, we travel together, we stay together, we like all are foodies, and we love to eat. So yeah, it's going well. Yeah.
That's lovely. And in that aspect, I marvel at the fact that you did mechanical engineering.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how much of mechanical engineering you're using in rock and roll and playing these gigs.
Yeah,
these
please
days.
don't ask me engineering questions. I won't be able to answer that.
But there's something in it to be said that there's so many actors and musicians who have come out of engineering college, and they say that, those 4 years were pretty interesting because even if they didn't decide to choose engineering as a career, they found some kind of soulmates or buddies who they could jam up with. Did you find that in mechanical engineering? I mean, did you find a band of guys who you put together a band with and started playing stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I was, as I was talking about that, we had a college band. Most of them being engineers and
Engineers.
like not mechanical engineers, but some of them like civil and electronic, all the other fields in engineering. But yeah, we happened to form a college band out of engineering. So it was a lack of interest of engineering that really pushed me to become a musician.
Musicians, lovely. How many guitars do you travel with, Sutej, and what's your favorite?
It's only one. Like I'm a simple guy. I don't have many, demands right now as far as guitars is concerned. Because I mean, it's a simple reason because traveling or touring as a musician in India is a bit harder than the other countries probably. So I really like to keep it simple. Like I have one digital unit for my effects and all the tones, and I travel with my Sterling Music Man.
Indian guitar players that you've really admired. I mean, I look at you, Sutej. I look at Warren Mendonza from Blackstrat Blues, and you're comparable to the best in the world. So, any Indian guitar players that you've really looked up to in your career?
Warren, of course, like he was one of my first Indian guitarist inspirations, and I've met him a few times. He's a lovely guy. He's been very supportive. Also, I would like to mention Saurabh Chaudhary from Parikrama. He's been like a mentor to me. Like even before I was a professional musician, I was in talking terms with him. I was asking stuff out, and he was really helpful. And I just recently met him in Zero, and he's still the same humble guy as he is. Another one I would mention, Sonam Sherpa as well. I really loved his.
God bless soul. God bless his soul.
I really loved his work with Parikrama. Tony Das. Tony Das, of course, he's a great musician. I love his phrasing, what he does with guitar. And many more, like I can't remember names right now, but yeah, many more.
So it's become very important what you wear on stage. I understand that the musician's heart is a musician's heart, and ultimately the music has to speak. But all great rockers have their outfit down pat. I mean, even somebody like a pop artist like Ed Sheeran, he dresses like a busker, but that's because his marketing team has made his look like that.
Exactly.
It's a very carefully structured look, him being a busker and still being that despite achieving worldwide stardom, looking like that. So do you have a stylist on board? Do you just pick your own clothes? For example, you have Bandland coming up. When do you start thinking of the clothes? Is it last minute, or do you think of the look a little before?
I think I've made my life a bit easier in that aspect because I'm just sticking to one costume. So it's like a costume for me. I wear this long coat and just the basic. Yeah, so it works for me, and I've done my own styling basically with a set of people that were working for a company called Shades of India, and we happened to design this long overcoat, the original one that I used in the Land of Goals video. So yeah, so that has become like a style statement. Whenever I want to play live, I want to look like that. So that is my costume. I would say that's costume.
It must make you very happy that in this modern day and age, you can still live in Solan, in your hometown, and create such exquisite tracks. Till about 10 years ago, people would have said, Sutej, you have to move to Bombay.
Yeah.
Get yourself a flat, rent a flat, buy it, whatever. Spend time here. I'm sure. Do you master your albums in Solan? Do you send them out to master somewhere else?
So everything, I just do my composing work in solo, nothing else. So everything from drum recording to the bass recording to the guitar recording even, and to the mixing and mastering, it's all done outside of this town. So I'm just living here, making music, composing music, and I take it outside and really record and make the best product out of it.
So do you have a go-to place? Do you have a go-to place where you take your composition and start working on the arrangement and things like that?
Yeah, so I have a producer friend. His name is Ranbir Sidhu. He lives in Chandigarh, and
Nice.
he's been recording my guitars ever since, like from the debut album days. And even the last single that I released, Land of Gold, he was a part of it as well. Parth is kind enough to record drums for me for the newer songs. Of course, the Emerging was recorded outside. It was recorded by a guy named Scott Hyam. He's living in London. So yeah, it's all well distributed, I would say. I mean, my part here is just to compose and just let the other musicians do their job.
Another thing that fascinates me apart from the mechanical engineering is there are no real musicians in your family. You're really the first one to break out.
Yeah.
So is dad a businessman, or is he in service? And how easy was it for him to accept it, for example?
Yeah, so my dad is a businessman, and like every other parent in this country, he wanted me to settle and find a job and make money for myself. But I happened to convince him somehow. It was quite a dramatic day, I remember. I happened to convince my parents that I wanted to pursue music, and that was when I came back from the engineering college. I completed the degree. It took me like 1 extra year to do that. And I came back. I told him about this feeling for the first time, and it was quite a dramatic scene in the house. And my dad, I think a part of him accepted it because he was a cricketer back in the days. He used to play at quite a high level. So, and he had to quit because my grandfather died quite early. So he had to manage all the expenses of the house. He was the only single child. And I think he understood what I was going through. He understood what I wanted in life, and he gave me a chance. He actually said, like, you have 1 year and you can do anything that you want, but after that 1 year, you should really, focus on your career or something like that. But of course, it didn't take me 1 year. It took me like 4-5 years to actually get a move on in this industry.
Have they come and seen some of your concerts and been incredibly proud?
They did. I recently invited them to Piano Man in Delhi. So that was
lovely.
Yeah, I think that was 3-4 months ago. And yeah, they were super proud. They were super happy of what I was doing. Of course, they saw people coming, and actually people who wanted to see me, who wanted to meet me. So I think being a parent, seeing that, they're in a happier place now.
Wonderful. 23rd of November, Saturday, at Bandland in Bengaluru. It's at the nice grounds, Tumkur Road. Fabulous venue. Tickets are live now at Book My Show. Sutej Singh takes the stage along with Avenged Sevenfold, Bloodywood, everything, Big Special, Dot and Bhayanak Moth. And stay back also for day 2. Because Sutej is staying back to watch Extreme, Zero, Thaikudam Bridge, Selva Ganesh, The Wanton Bishops, Raman Negi and Swaratma. So it's rock till you drop time. Thank you very much, Sutej, for this. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks. Thank you, Hrishi. Thank you. I'll see you there.
94.3 Radio 1.